In other words, when Harmony started her practice, and this is for you, Steve, when they started their practice, this is how I got them to build their practice. Aim towards the camera.
We started Singer in November or December, so the whole weekend was about the holiday mailer, and we were like, oh my gosh, we missed the boat. What are we going to do? So he came up to us and said, listen, we got this new thing we're doing, so this is what you're going to do. You're going to write some checks. So we were excited and scared because we didn't want to do this. It sounded really, really great, but I didn't want to have to go write checks to everybody. And then, of course, when I told my husband about it, he was like, you can't write our checks. You know, that's weird. So we used an account with like $5 in it. That way, if I ever really did make the mistake of writing it to them, it wasn't going to work out.
She was afraid when she wrote the check, she'd forget to write it to herself and write it to them. And because the script says, I would like to write you a check, and she was afraid she'd actually forget and write it for them. So she went out and opened a bank account for $5 and now had a checking account that only had $5 in it. I, by the way, never knew this story.
Yeah. So anyways, he said that because I have a partner, that we had to hold ourselves accountable, and we had to come up with a really bad punishment if we didn't write these 10 checks each. And the punishment that he had given us, or we had to create for ourselves, was we had to go knock on people's doors.
Okay, so I told them if they didn't give out 10 checks each by the end of the week as a challenge, whoever didn't hand out 10 checks to 10 people would have to go door to door and knock on at least 100 homes and introduce themselves. And they said they would rather hand out the checks.
So we didn't know what to do. We had just started our practice. Somebody said, oh, you have to do a chamber event, or you have to do this or that. So we went to one chamber event, and people just wanted to eat food and like have drinks. So we only wrote one check there, but anyway, she came in, so it doesn't matter. And it was Kim's check, so I was still down. And then we got better, and then it just started to become more natural. I went in, we were doing a grand opening party, and I was getting gift certificates around the area, and I said, is your manager in? And she'd be like, yeah, well, who are you? Well, I work at a new center that just opened up. We do acupuncture. Oh, really? Like, I've always wanted to try that, and do the needles hurt? And I'm like, well, why don't you give it a shot? Here, I'm going to write you a check. So I was like, yes. So as I'm collecting gift certificates, I started writing checks to the employees, and then Kim was kind of doing her own thing too. We came back, basically we ended up writing checks, and all the people we wrote checks to, they came in. So that's how it got rolling at the very first start. And then they referred.
Yeah, so, and within several months, they were up to $30,000 a month cash as acupuncturists. That ain't bad, by the way. And now they're doing way better than that. And they're only at the end of their first year in practice. Have I agree, if you at the end of your first year in practice are collecting $40,000 a month, that ain't a bad first year.
We don't think it is. Yeah.
Let's give